we are on April 14th, and we have Claire and Jack, the grape masters, pruning our grapes today. And they're going to tell you how they do it.
Okay. The basic idea is you want to, the grape tends to grow and put all of its growth out on the very ends of its vines, because it's designed to climb trees and it wants to grow at the very end. And we want the growth to be forced back close to the roots so we can pick the grapes and we don't have a lot of energy going. We don't need it to climb trees. We've got these wires here that do the same function. They hold the grape up off the ground. So we have to do every year after, in the spring when you come back to prune, you need to think, get rid of most of these vines, get rid of the length, force the growth back to buds that are coming off of the vines, but be sure there's live growth out at the end that you pick to grow. So right now I'm looking at this. This is a coming straight up pretty much, and it's putting out some side vines here that I would pick one or two of these as being the ones that we probably, one of these three here. And we've got a long distance to cover there. I think probably, Claire, you've got the best one. Yeah. Let's put the others out of the way right now. We'll cut them off in a minute, but right now let's make sure we got what we got tied down and isn't broken or marred in some way in the whole process. So we'll tie it a couple times to this wire. Ultimately, we have two wires here, one high, one low, and the perfect grape will be pruned so that it has 4 vines going off from the initial plant, one to the left at the low wire and one to the left at the high wire, and same on the right. So ultimately it's called the 4-arm Niffen system, and basically this is the vine that will produce grapes for us. And now we want to, that looks good all the way back here. There's a little bit of a stripping here, but I think we'll survive that. Nothing got broken. No. So let's
trim one of these.
Yeah, let's cut this back. Leave just one bud on it. And that bud would be for next year's growth. Cut this one back. Same thing. This one, anything that's going. What we might do is save some of these just as starter buds for next year. So cut those, just.
How far out?
Yeah, that's good.
Some stuff. This too.
And
so can I get rid of the rest of this?
Well, we might want to tie this down there at some point to keep that growth going in that direction. So if you can tie this down somewhere down there and then cut it past that, that will keep this arm from going up too high, because we really want this. We want to get a grape down here along this lower vine, and sometimes it's hard to get because they tend to climb.
Jack, where can we get those nice cutters for the twine that you put on your hand, on your finger?
I'm sorry, what?
Where can we get those nice cutters that you put on your finger for?
Oh, those finger knives. I ordered them on the internet. I forget exactly where I got them, but look up finger knives, and if you want to get them, they're very handy, because you can then just cut the twine with a pull of your hand, and you don't have to switch hands with your.
Can I get rid of this?
Yep,
here?
get rid of that. And these guys, I don't see anything. We're not using them. So we cut this down to a couple buds just for starter buds. Okay, so we've got that side, this side. This rest of this, I don't see any good coming from here. I maybe leave a bud there, yeah.
Get rid of the rest?
Yeah, I think so. So you're getting rid of 70% of the plant or something in this process, but it will easily become a jumble again next year. This one here is not. That's good. Yep, right there.
How many bunches of grapes do you think we'll get off this plant, Jack, this year?
I don't know what variety is and what size and what color. I mean, we've I don't know. It's hard to say. We have probably 20 separate grape plants up here, maybe. And
These might be some green grapes out there.
some are green, some are purple, some are blue, some even are red. And of the whole batch, we might get 20 gallons, maybe. So maybe a gallon of a plant, something like that.
And this way of doing it really maximizes our grape harvest, would you say?
This is my best system for production. Yeah. If you're doing something right around your house, you might want to include something like an arborway where it's going overhead, or an entranceway, or over a porch, or lots of things you can do that incorporate the grapevine planting into your house landscape. In which case you're getting extra value. You may not get as much production, but you're getting something else instead. So when we did our house along the deck, we've got grapes that we get a lot of production from, but I don't think it's as productive as this system. So.
Anything else on this plant that you want to share with us?
I'm sorry, what?
Anything else on this plant that you want to share with us?
Yeah, well, we've just on one side of it. We've got to do the same things on the other side here.
Claire, do you want to just explain this over here?
So this is the grape that we have finished pruning and tying. And so here we have this year's fruiting canes on the lower wire. We didn't have anything coming off on this side, but so we have fruiting canes tied to the lower wire and the upper wires. And some of these healthier canes we just cut back to 1 or 2 buds, and that will encourage next year's fruiting canes. Is that right, Jack?
Sorry, I wasn't listening.
The canes we cut back to 2 buds, that will encourage
1 or 2, yeah. You want to cut back to canes that are where you want them for next year's growth, and every plant's going to be different. I mean, but if these out here are farther from the root, because the root goes all the way out there, then comes back and produces those. So the ones we're using for next year are the ones that are a little closer into the root. But yeah, when you approach a grapevine in the spring, it'll just be this jumble and this crazy massive growth. And so you got to have a plan, and the plan is, if you're using this system, you've got 2 wires. Figure your best last year's growth, because that's where your new growth is going to be. Your new growth is going to be at the end of last year's growth, and that's why you don't want to just cut willy-nilly. You have to look at it and say, well, is there some New Year's growth that's back close to the original vine? And that's what you really want to preserve and perpetuate, is that New Year's growth that was last year and is close to the beginning of the vine. And that's what's hard to find. And this system is your best way to do that.
Well, thank you, Claire and Jack. I just want to say elsewise that we have, over the years, put a lot of cardboard and wood chips down here. And we have a really nice, wonderful space that they're growing into. And we're going to, this year, I think probably put some crimson clover in as a ground cover.